Hey y'all. Hey. So, I just finished the podcast, and this is the fourth episode of this third season. It is actually the first season of the Creative Fault, the rebranding of the podcast, but it is actually just the third season, which means third year. And going good, going strong. Very happy for this new creative outlet that I have next to the painting and everything. So yeah, I'm really happy for that. Last week, for those who are already on the Patreon, I had a talk with Craig Stewart. I already said it in the podcast, but there were really moments that I was thinking, are you talking to me personally? Like, you know my life? And maybe it has to do with the fact that as a creative, as an artist, you share so many similar things with each other when it comes to the struggle and the growth and the development of your career, which makes it easy for someone to recognize those things. But the beauty of it, actually, of the whole talk, is that he could have talked to anybody, anyone, and that person would get so many gems out of that particular conversation. Excuse me for me just coughing and squirming. My throat is killing me. It's really killing me. I do not know where I'm getting this sore throat from. It feels like a throat infection, because the things that are coming out of my throat, let me spare you the details, but it's questionable. It's questionable. So I don't know how I got it. I don't know when it really started. I started to feel it in last weekend, and it wasn't really bad. It was a cough here and there, like a dry cough. And then the Monday and the Tuesday, it was like, you know what? I'm gonna come full throttle. So it just progressed. And it feels awful. I know I don't sound hoarse, but that is because I'm not speaking a lot. You know, I'm mostly alone during the day. My son is either at school or he's, he has training, or, he's in his room. So I'm not speaking that much. And the moments that I'm speaking is only when it's necessary. So that makes it good for me just to simmer down on talking and using my throat. Tea helps. The tea helps a lot. Water, plain drinking mineral water, that helps a lot. And just coughing out whatever needs to be coughed out. It sounds gross, but that is exactly what it needs to be. Coughing out what needs to be coughed out. The thing that I'm now, I'm dealing with, and I got an epiphany. One of my many epiphanies. They don't all work, but most of them work. So the epiphany that I had this afternoon is something that I've been struggling with for the longest, and that is how I'm going to use my social media. I'm already revamping it. A lot of images I took off Instagram, and I actually, in all honesty, do not want to share or too much anymore of the process that I'm in. Here and there I can share some process videos, but I really want for people to come to a platform like Patreon, or to subscribe to my newsletter and get more info from that, or to be a subscriber to the podcast. So there have been certain actions that I've taken, that I've done to reassure that, to create that change that I want to see. Because a lot of the content that I'm creating, listen, it takes time. It takes time. It takes a lot of work. And I consider that just to be as much work as the painting itself, which now has come underneath a strain. because of all the things that I'm doing when it comes to social media, and how I'm so basically wrapped up in that whole thing of how I want to revamp it. It is not making it any easier. Because listen, I am not a brand strategist. I am not a social media whiz kid. A lot of things that I've learned along the way, and what I'm noticing right now as Instagram is changing, as they are changing and shifting the things, and as I, as an artist, my requirements also need to be met. They also need to be met. There has to be a middle ground for me to build my career and also make myself presentable for the audience and build the audience, keep building that audience, but also not lose the notion of, sounds like a dirty word, but losing the notion of monetizing my work as well. Whether I'm creating content for Facebook, for the YouTube, or for whatever, I cannot lose that out of sight. And I'm really feel that it is important for any creative and artist to take that into consideration, that you are, everything that you create, your creative output can be a moment, can be an opportunity for you to earn something from that, to get something from that, to be paid from that. And that can maybe be uncomfortable for a couple of people, but listen, for me, I've settled myself already in that thought. Hence the reason why I will be posting more on the platform Patreon. Hence the reason why I want to change the way that I am using the social media platform. I still want to work along with it so that I'm not working against its purpose, but I don't want to build my house on it. Because from what I've seen from the previous years, using Instagram, using Facebook, a lot of it is based on getting those likes, and it should actually be like the first introduction or already relationship that I have with people, so that they get further into the process and get to my website, or get to my newsletter, or get to this Patreon, or get to other creative outputs that I have. That takes time. If you're an independent artist, that takes time. That's not easy. And changing that can also have an effect on your following. People might not follow you anymore for the simple fact that you're just not posting that much anymore. Or because you're not posting your process photos anymore, you're asking other things of people. Am I okay with it? Yeah. I already reconciled with that outcome. And it doesn't hurt or bother me. I see it and it's like, wait, but it doesn't hurt or bother me. I'm not lying awake from it. I understand that for the people that are staying and really want to be there, or are getting to know me and want to get further in the process, those are the people that I want to focus on. And it's time to really get into that base. It's strange because for me, it feels like I'm already doing this for 10 years. But the painting itself, and now transform myself and being a contemporary artist and being a painter, that is, I mean, that's only 4. But the creative process, the artistic process, that is almost 10. That is almost 10. So I've been doing that for the longest, but me just doing all of this work, yeah, that's 4 years. If you look at it, it's a blink of an eye. And to think about the fact that I've had 3 galleries, of which one is a group gallery, 2 of them I organized them myself to do so, that I've worked with others, that I'm working with other artists in an artist group. which has been coming to a standstill, but that's going to be another video, or else I'm going all over the place. It has been coming into a standstill, but I'm hoping that we really can build upon that again. You know, that is a good thing. The good side of it is that it has led me to meet other great artists that have a bigger network and can also, you know, help me into that. They don't have to, but it's great if somebody can help you along the way. And a good example out of that is the group exhibition, because one of my group members didn't want to, but he referred to me saying, this is a great artist. I definitely believe that she is can be part of the group expo. And there I was in Amsterdam, being part of that expo. So that is the beauty of having a network, building a network. The part that I really want to just build is having a active audience of newsletter subscribers and podcast subscribers, and having collectors. It's great that people recognize my work. It's great that people love the work, but it's even better if people buy the work. And I think this is a certain skill set that you need to have for that. Not to be a salesperson, you know, be a salesperson or anything, but it's a certain process when it comes to people approaching a painter or wanting, who are interested in that process. I also have to be acquainted with that. It's not the same thing as buying a loaf of bread. But also looking into other avenues. One of the things that I've talked about with a friend of mine is, for instance, renting my art to companies that do not want to invest in a painting because it might be, you know, a big investment, but they would be interested in having something for 3 months or for 6 months or for a year, which can be a great income. And, you know, it still gives me control over where my paintings are, you know, having the original always at hand and giving people the opportunity to use the painting for their scenery. So that is definitely something that I also have in the back of my mind to develop. I'm not going to say there are a lot of things on my plate. I'm just going to say these are things that can help me develop even more. Like I already said, listen, it's just 4 years that I've been a contemporary, that I claim myself to be a contemporary artist and entrepreneur and go into the professional side of it. So I cannot, you know, I have to have a certain level of grace towards myself as well. It's not that I need to know everything like this. And sometimes I lose that out of sight. That there can be a moment of grace. You know, be graceful towards yourself of where you are and what you do. Be also honest about what you don't want to do and what you're not up for. Also being honest about that. There are a lot of things that I'm learning about myself, and also a lot of things that I'm opening myself up to, but also closing, right? I'm closing doors to certain things. So yeah. Let me know what it is that you are thinking about this process. Maybe you have that same thing and you're looking at yourself and being like, oh my gosh, it feels indeed like I've been busy for 100 years. For 100 and something years. However, I'm just busy for 4. I already accomplished all of those things. That's great. And doing that, you know, without a manager or without a business partner or without a gallery, you know, you should give yourself a little bit more credit than that. You should be proud of yourself when you do those things and you look back at it and it's like, wow, that's actually a beautiful start. Because that is actually what it is. It's just a start. You only have now. You know that, right? Past is already done. Future we don't have. You only have now. They all simultaneously are here. So keeping that into mind, this process definitely has taught me to be more gracious towards myself and not to, you know, do keep a healthy amount of pressure, but don't stress yourself out, if that makes sense. right? You can be pressuring yourself the whole time, like you got to do this and this and this and this and this, and that to-do list is just never going to end. And you're stressing yourself out because of that, because you're not doing the things that are on your to-do list. But you can also build a healthy pressure of, these are 2 things that I want to accomplish for today. That's it. Or I just want to accomplish this for today. And sometimes the only accomplishment that I have for a day is the fact that I have some rest. Because if there's one thing that I'm also closing the door to, it's the hustle mentality. You gotta hustle, 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 hustle. Who am I hustling for? I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. So being mindful of that, being open to that. I think also what I notice is that another thing that I'm also closing the door to is how-to videos of how I'm painting. Either you see me painting or you don't see me painting. But I'm not gonna sit here and explain to you what paint I'm using or how you need to, have an underground, or what type of oil paint I'm using. For me, those are the little things. You will learn that as you follow me on in my journey. Those are things that you get to learn of me. But I don't feel like I need to be giving that away, right? Give that information just away, just to give that information and to have you engaged in my life. Either you see a process video, either you see a process photo, that's what it is. I feel that it takes a lot of time to do that. Again, I'm just one person. I don't have an assistant yet. I've just learned to work with tools that actually can help me when it comes to content, copywriting, planning, all of those things that really can take away the excess amount of investing my time into learning and doing those things. Excuse me, and having them done automatically. So that is already a good step in the right direction. But I've closed the door towards that a little bit. And even if I would do something like that, I would consider that more to be a series that I would produce and for people to watch on a platform like Patreon. It is content that I'm creating for you all, and yeah, you need to subscribe to that. That's how I feel about it. That's my vision about it. That's my perspective on it. And yeah, there are many YouTubers that show the ins and outs of their craft, and they've built a great following from that. And that's beautiful. But I also have to be honest and look at me, Marilva, the person, and say, do I want to go into that route? You already see my face. No. I want to go into that route when I feel like it. Period. I know I started on YouTube doing a lot of those type of videos where I would create illustrations and how-to videos and talk about what I would use and things like that. I just don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to create a YouTube channel or a channel in itself that just shows you how to do it. I don't mind sharing the information. It's not that I don't mind sharing the information. It's so funny because I just did a podcast about gatekeepers and everything else. And how gatekeepers can keep you from information, but they can also actually be a level of where you get to see whether you are, you have the credit, a credit list that says that you are, you have the stamp of approval. It's not that I want to be a gatekeeper to information, to what I know and what I've gathered. That's why I'm referring to the podcast. Excuse me. But it is more to say that I think I'm just a little bit selfish in it and saying, I don't mind saying it. Yeah, I'm selfish in it and saying, I want to have a platform that adds value, gives value, but also receives that value. So that is just something that I'm very honest about towards myself. I won't lie about it to myself, right? And who wants to do something that you really don't want to do anymore, that you don't feel like doing anymore? No one. I think that's also a really dangerous thing for creatives and artists to do something because their audience likes it so much, and then when you just don't want to do that thing anymore, the question becomes, well, how else am I going to supply to my audience or keep my audience as it is? How else am I going to do that? Now, the two ways: either you have to keep on doing what it is that you're doing because you don't want to lose your audience, or you do have to make the change and have to take the consequences from what it means to, you know, just to change things up. You have to deal with the consequences. A way of, I wouldn't say battling that, but to be in control over that is to be really conscious of what it is that you want to put out and what you have to offer to people. So knowing that, I know that I might not have a platform that has millions of people, but I'd rather have a platform of a couple of thousand people than have a platform of 1 million people and I have to do a trick, or I constantly have to do the thing that got in which I got those 1 million people. So the attention is not on me enjoying my craft and sharing that with you all, but then the focus becomes on the audience and me having to fulfill their unfulfilling need actually for more content. It's a very dangerous, they can be pretty dangerous. They can be pretty dangerous if you're in that particular area. So I don't consider myself to be in that area anymore. I want to be in an area where I am enjoying my craft and I share with you what it is that I do. See y'all soon. Bye.